Welcome to the podcast, folks. Today we're diving into a really intriguing approach to AI training environments using LLMs. It's like designing custom universes for training agents, right?
I'm excited to hear more about it. So, what's the core idea behind this method?
So, here's the deal. Imagine you have this large language model that instead of playing the game itself, sets up an entire simulation, like building a virtual sandbox full of challenges specifically tailored to train a smaller AI agent.
Yeah, right. So, essentially, it's a two-part process. First, the LLM designs this environment, and then a more specialized agent comes in to learn from it. Is that it?
Exactly. It's like, um, you know how a trainer might design a personalized exercise plan? Well, here the LLM carefully crafts simulation scenarios that encourage the agent to master certain skills.
That's pretty clever. I mean, it sounds like you're essentially stacking the deck in favor of the learning agent. Person. Hmm.
Yeah, it is. And think of it this way. In a typical game or environment, an agent might meander around for ages before hitting upon a rewarding action. But here, the LLM pre-configures rewards in the simulation so that the agent experiences those feedback loops much faster.
Right. I see. So, yet one might ask, isn't that a bit like artificially boosting the performance? Could that somehow limit the robustness of the agent later when faced with harsher, uncoached scenarios?
That's a good point. I mean, sure, it does tailor the experience to accelerate learning, but the idea is to uh, target specific challenges. Essentially, it's a graduated learning path. It's like building a curriculum where each level is a stepping stone to handling more unpredictable
Yeah,
environments.
that makes sense. Right. It's like offering training wheels on a bike until you're ready for the big ride, isn't it?
Exactly. And one of the analogies thrown around is hiring a world-renowned architect to design a doghouse. Yeah, a doghouse. You could just use a regular builder, but then you end up with a far, far more efficient design.
Mm-hmm. Huh, that's pretty vivid. But I'm curious, can this approach really cover the spectrum of skills required, or does it risk a sort of overfitting to the simulated environment?
That's a solid critique. There's definitely a balance to strike here. While the LLM crafts these environments with means to target specific skills, one worry is that the agent might become too reliant on the predetermined reward patterns. But proponents argue that as long as you vary the simulation parameters and continuously inject randomness, you can actually foster
Right.
robust learning.
So essentially, it's about designing variability within the simulation, ensuring the agent doesn't get too comfortable with a single pattern.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, think of it as a dynamic sandbox where the LLM doesn't just make one static level, it generates a whole set of diverse challenges, each targeting different facets of the agent's
Mm-hmm. Yes,
decision-making
indeed.
process.
And how does the system know what challenges to create? Is it all manually set by engineers, or does it iterate on its own?
So, the fascinating part is that the LLM leverages a description of the game or simulation environment, including rules and objectives, to understand what building blocks it has to work with. It then autonomously crafts scenarios. It's like giving it a set of Lego pieces and asking it to build multiple unique
That's really
structures.
innovative. But do you think there's a risk that if the simulation is too guided, the agent might not learn the nuance required in more open ended situations outside of this crafted world?
That's a great question. I mean, on one hand, locking in too many cues could definitely lead to overfitting. On the other hand, the idea is to use these environments as training wheels. After honing its skills in these targeted settings, the agent is expected to adapt to more unstructured scenarios over time.
Yeah, that's how advanced training routines work, right? Right, it reminds me of how athletes practice specific moves repetitively until they become second nature, then go into actual games where conditions are far less predictable.
Precisely. And what's really cool is the potential for feedback loops. The agent's performance can actually inform the LLM to further refine and diversify the training
Hmm.
environments.
Wait, so you mean that there's an iterative process? The LLM sees where the agent struggles and adjusts the simulations accordingly?
Exactly. That's the idea. It's a bit like a teacher noticing which topics a student finds challenging and then tailoring extra exercises around that. The agent and LLM effectively engage in a sort of dialogue over performance improvement.
That's a smart adaptive system. Now, something that I've been pondering is the computational overhead of this process. Crafting multiple nuanced simulations sounds resource intensive. How do you see that playing out practically?
Valid concern. It definitely could be heavy on resources. But proponents argue that by front loading the computation in the design phase, you save on the trial and error cost later when the agent's learning would normally be slower. It's like investing upfront to get exponential returns in efficiency down the line.
Interesting take. I get that. But what about robustness? Isn't there a chance that these tailored environments might not simulate rare real world edge cases?
That's a fair challenge. I mean, no simulation can perfectly replicate every nuance of reality. But the goal here isn't to cover every possible scenario. It's to get the agent to learn underlying principles and decision-making algorithms quickly. Still, critics do point out that eventually, the agent must be tested in raw, uncontrolled environments to truly
True.
prove its robustness.
And that's a crucial balance between controlled training and uncertain environments, right?
Absolutely. And I love that analogy. It's like teaching someone to ride a bike. You use training wheels and then gradually remove them so they can handle bumpy roads on their own.
Speaking of which, how do you think this approach stands in comparison with more traditional reinforcement learning setups?
Well, traditionally, agents rely on random exploration, and it can be painfully slow to stumble upon a reward. With these LLM crafted environments, you're essentially channeling the exploration in meaningful ways. It's faster and more
Exactly.
directed.
But also, could this directed approach inadvertently narrow the agent's exposure to unexpected creative problem solving scenarios?
That's an astute observation. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. While you gain efficiency, you do risk the agent not encountering that chaotic variety. The solution, many argue, is to combine these tailored simulations with some degree of open-ended, chaotic learning scenarios.
Right, striking that perfect balance. Exactly. I'm curious though, have there been any real world implementations of this method, or is it still largely theoretical?
From what I've seen, it's still in an experimental phase. Researchers are testing prototypes where an LLM sets up virtual challenges and then a dedicated agent learns from them. The early results suggest a significant speed up in learning, but we'll have to see how it scales with
Yeah,
more
that's
complex
promising.
tasks.
It really pushes the envelope of what's possible in AI training, kind of rethinking the age old trial and error paradigm, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like shifting from, stumbling in the dark to having a lit pathway, thanks to the LLM's guidance. But of course, you need to eventually take those training wheels off to see if the agent can truly navigate on its own.
Absolutely. And that's where the iterative feedback and adaptive design really come into play. I mean, if the system can learn from the agent's performance and adjust, we might be looking at a very dynamic training ecosystem.
Yep, and it's not just about speed, it's about fostering deeper, more generalizable learning. The more the simulation can adapt to the agent's weaknesses, the more robust the eventual agent becomes. It's like fine-tuning a musical instrument until it plays harmoniously in an orchestra.
Right. One thing I'm still wondering about is how these systems handle uh, randomness. I mean, in real world situations, not everything is predictable.
Oh, good point. The design incorporates elements of randomness and variation. The LLM doesn't just output one static environment, instead, it generates multiple scenarios with subtle differences. This way, the agent gets exposed to a spectrum of potential outcomes and learns a more
That really
versatile
underlines
set
the
of
innovation here.
responses.
It does sound promising. Still, I feel a bit skeptical about, I don't know, the potential for over engineering. Could too much design lead to an agent that's overly dependent on those cues rather than thinking independently?
That's definitely a risk. I mean, if the simulation becomes too prescriptive, the agent might just become good at the simulation, rather than at general problem solving. That's why some researchers suggest mixing highly structured training with sessions of unbounded exploration to ensure the agent develops robust, flexible strategies.
True, that mix is critical. It really seems like we're at the intersection of art and science here, creatively designing environments while staying true to the unpredictability of natural learning dynamics.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this area so fascinating. It's like bridging the gap between handcrafted instructional design and emergent self-driven learning. We're witnessing the evolution of AI
And it's
training
exciting to
strategies.
think where this might lead us. Definitely, this discussion really highlights both the promise and the challenges of using LLMs in training environments. It's been an enlightening deep dive into a future where AI might be taught by AI, truly a game changer for the field.
Exactly, folks. Innovations like these show how the merger of advanced language models with targeted simulation design can accelerate learning beyond traditional methods. Thanks for tuning in, and keep an eye on this space as things evolve.